Hello and welcome to HWCA's featured coach interview. Today we're interviewing Alexandra. Is it Danieli? I always worry about
Danieli?
Danieli. She says it's so
Dan-
much prettier than me.
yeah, it's like Daniel with an I.
Danielle. Danieli. You say it way better than me. Your accent makes it 100 times better. Anyways, she has a business called The Conscious Gut. She was actually a graduate of ours in 2018, and we're just going to talk about all the things that she is doing to really help people. Her main focus is autoimmune disease, and the purpose of a lot of these videos is to not only give our current coach base, student base, and a kind of an idea of how some of the graduates are using their education and what they're doing and the different avenues that they are using gut health, but to also help inform potential coaches and et cetera about the possibilities, that the different avenues and directions that they can take with coaching and how people have gotten creative with their educations and the impact that they're using with their personal stories. Lastly, we also, like I said, we're targeting, like, her specialty is really, her passions in autoimmune disease and helping people with that. So I know I get autoimmune conditions are growing so rapidly, and people reach out to me on multiple times a week, to ask about, if I can help them with different conditions, especially as females. We're so much more prone to things like, thyroid conditions and multiple different autoimmune conditions, but men as well. I mean, just the list is just growing. So people need the help. So I know a lot of people that are going to see this interview are also going to want to know where to find you and everything you're doing. So welcome, Alexandra, to our interview. I'm so excited about
Thank
you. I'm very proud of this girl right here. She's incredibly active. She graduated and just started doing, and that is sometimes the hardest thing for some of the coaches or for any of us in general, is just to like start doing it. So she's done a great job. So Alexandra, will you kind of tell everybody a little bit about your personal story and your journey in wellness and how that kind of led you to want to coach and help other people?
Sure. So thanks first for having me. I'm excited to be talking with you today about all of this. And my personal story with gut health really started in my 20s when I was really dealing with my first bout of extreme candida. And it was just making my life hell. Well, otherwise I was still pretty healthy, but there was just this one big gut issue in my life that was making my daily everything's pretty much disturbed. And so I started working on that with diet and also with some conventional medication. And I got rid of it then, but I believe I just didn't strengthen my system properly then and didn't know 100% what I was doing. But I got that first glimpse of nutrition and taking care of our gut will get us very far. And then after I had my second child in my 30s, it really came down to being in conventional care a lot more with my postpartum care. And then there were some infections that were taken care of with antibiotics, which I wasn't so keen on, but I just needed the support. I was a mother. I just needed to know that the doctors knew what they were doing and they were helping me in the best way they could. And then after a dental procedure, I had to have 2 more rounds of antibiotics, and that really sent me over the edge, and my gut was just in hell. And I had skin problems, I had issues all over, I had fatigue, I had everything I was dealing with before with the candida and the bloating and the pain, and it was just horrifying. And the other part was that after my son was born, when he was a baby, he had terrible, terrible eczema. And we tried the same thing. I was just not knowing what I was dealing with, trusting the doctors with the steroid creams and what they were suggesting, and none of it really helped. And
topical treatment.
Yeah. And so I really had to dig in deep there too. And we started healing his little gut. And we were lucky that he was a baby and couldn't protest. Once they get older, they protest all the things they shouldn't eat and whatever. But
so do we adults.
So we just really went in deep, and and healed his gut, and all his skin cleared up, his moods cleared up. It was just in those little pure creatures you can just witness change so much differently. And it was just so powerful to see what effects this all can have, and really getting deep into, very interested in the microbiome and gut health, and that at that point. But it didn't really occur to me that I wanted to do this as a calling, as a job, as a purpose. And so last year, when I was on the lookout for what I wanted to be doing professionally and where I wanted to change into, and I came across the ad for your school, I didn't even know that that was a thing, to be a gut health coach. And it just made so much sense for me. And I didn't have to do any thinking. I just jumped right on it, and it just resonated within me in every cell. It was the holistic health coaching, which I'm all for, the gut health specialist, and then the mindset coaching too, which is so deeply in line with what I've been working on with myself for the past few years, with meditation and spiritual healing and calming down the nervous system and all that kind of stuff. So it was just very in line with all that I was doing already in a not as organized way, and just getting certified, learning structurally, and, just going from there.
Putting it together. And you did such a good job. And I know the first time we ever talked, you were so active in this process. And I know that a big part of that for you was the personal research and the ability to seek out the answers, because like a lot of us learn when we go through this stuff, that the answers are generally not just given to us. We have to take from multiple avenues. We have to take our health and our well-being and that of our children into our own hands. And you did such a great job of doing that. And you're a good example of, like, almost every single coach or potential coach that we have has a personal story, and their passion and their want to get into coaching comes from their own journey in something. So they have just an innate ability to want to then give to others and help them do it, because they know how much easier would it have been for you if someone could sit in front of you that had gone through exactly what you went through and could be like, this is exactly what I did. And it may not be exactly what's going to work for you, but it sure would save a lot of effort, right?
Yes. And it's very much about the difference is what I see. People are always looking for another tip or trick that they might be missing. But what they're really missing is a very recipe approach, I would.
All-encompassing.
Yeah, like where to start, what to do first, where to go on from there. And that's really what nobody's really telling them. They get pieces of information from their doctors, and then they find other pieces of information on the internet. And it's just about, it's not the lack of information, it's the lack of knowing how to put all of it together into an action plan. That is so why we are needed in this world.
Yes, and that just makes me so proud of you, coaches. I love it. I'm going to be able to send so many people to your information. So what is the name and kind of the direction of your business, Alexandra? What did you choose when you decided to launch this baby?
The name of my business is The Conscious Gut, and it came to me in meditation, and I was so surprised that nobody had named their business, because it just seemed like such an obvious one to me, because consciousness and gut health are so tightly intertwined, and working on the immune system and the body healing from all angles, and especially on the gut brain or mind body connection is so important and so vital. And so that's why the name is The Conscious Gut. And while that is a big part of my program, my program is also focusing on other modalities, which I've added to my program just because they're very logical and very, very essential to healing. So
you took your education, but you made it your own thing, right? Yeah. That's what you're elaborating on, is how you designed the full picture to be your very own.
And that's first when I started the coaching school, I was so wondering, what are we all going to do? We're all going to be gut health specialists, and are we all going to just flood each other's markets? But then I started watching some other interviews with some of the graduates, and it just came automatically that it just really, I just found my niche very naturally, because I'm a mother, I've had issues, my children have had issues, and I just know that family healing is such an important part where you affect the mother mostly, but also the father, you affect future lives as well in a positive way. And so, and just finding that way of interacting with the gut and the consciousness and doing a lot of awareness training, it just made it more clear to me that everybody is going to find their own passion and their own way of how they want to approach this. And gut healing is a big part of it, but it's not the only one. So we just add the modalities.
Yeah, your brand, which was, you know, kind of the next question we were talking about. That's your brand in a business aspect, but at the same time too, that's also your specific niche. And so what that does is, while it narrows it down a bit, you have attracted people that are like you, or that need exactly what you are best at, and that you know the most at, and what you're the most passionate about. We always kind of know where our passions lie if you would give it away for free. So I guarantee you, if you're in public and you were to hear a mom talking about their child with eczema, you would be biting your tongue. If it's a random stranger and you're in the grocery store, you're going to be biting your tongue, because you're going to be like, I feel like I need to share this with her, because you just want to give it. And that's how you know where your passions lie, is where you enthusiastically would just insert. Yeah.
Totally.
So how did you, who's your target audience, your client base? And while I know that all you coaches really help a wide range of people with different issues related to the gut, like we said, kind of your specialty niche that you are just really exceptional at reaching, who is that?
So for me, I work mostly with parents who have an autoimmune disease or chronic illness, or something chronic happening in their gut, or any other kind of mystery illness that falls amongst those, where you just need to make sure that you can address it at the root. And working with parents is because I just have so many in my circle, at my school, or people that I've talked to in the past, where I just know when the parents are affected, the whole family is affected, and the children cannot be raised in the way that the parents want to raise them. And since I've experienced that when I wasn't at my best, and to me that was so hard, not to be there for my children, not to be able to be patient for them and give them my best, that's really what I want to focus on, and what I have been focusing on, so that I can just get multiple flies with one hit, or how do you say in this country?
Yes, yeah, that's absolutely. I get what you're saying. You're talking about like the heads of the household putting the oxygen mask on yourself before your kids, not because you care about yourself more than your children, but because you're of no use to anyone if you are not functioning at your best. And I totally relate to those moments of like parental failure, especially when you don't feel well, whether you're sick with a cold or flu, or whether, especially a chronic condition, it's affecting, and something like candida, and things like that. Often, if our gut's out of whack, our brain, we're not producing adequate serotonin and dopamine. Majority of that is manufactured in a healthy gut. So patience with our kids, if our hormones are off, things like thyroid, etc. I've found myself at certain times knowing I needed to get my body together, not just my health, but like you said, from an overall approach of stress and my mindset and my physical body, because I can't think straight, and then my patience with my boys is less and everything. And I'm like, I'm a terrible mom. So I love that you're that support system.
Yeah. And many people come to me in much worse states even. They are often not even able to do one thing a day, or barely one thing a day with their children, but no social life, no weekend activities. And it's really, really terrible to see. And in that way of helping the head of the families get well, you're just making sure that children are raised in a different way, where they can later also be their best in their lives. And we all know. It's
not just nutrition. You're looking out for the environment of the whole home, in another way as well.
Yeah.
Promoting well-being.
yeah, and that's why this has been so much fun and so rewarding already. And I've only been doing it since 2018.
Yeah, but you're doing so good, and you're doing it, and loving what you do is, supports you through the whole process of, I love that so much. Did you build any bit of your audience, or did you build anything while you were training? Because that's something we're really focusing on now, is teaching people how to build like an audience or get themselves kind of set up while they're in school, so that when they're done, they kind of already they're not just starting fresh once they're done training. Did you do anything while you were in school to kind of start setting up your business?
Yeah, the brand came to me when I was in school, and I started setting up my website for sure. I set up my email and just all the paperwork that had to be done with the county in order to be able to do coaching. You have to check the legality of your state, or where you are, what you have to do, and get the paperwork ready, check with an attorney. Those are all things that you can do while you're still at school, and probably more, but I was also just really busy learning. So
well, and at the time you did it, I'm going to give you kudos for this, because when you did it, we didn't implement what we're implementing now, where we're giving people kind of those setup skills to start doing. That's been a new evolution. You did a lot of this on your own gumption. And I remember you setting up your website and doing all that. And I'm like, this is excellent.
Well,
yes.
my ex-husband and I have had tech companies together before. So setting up a business was something I'd done before. And maybe that's why, but it's definitely helpful to have guidance on all of that, especially, from someone like you who's done it before too. So
I've done it a lot of times. That's for another day. All my tries and experiences in life. But when you hone into what you're really passionate about, it's crazy how the doors open, and everything you've done before was learning experiences that benefit now. Like, you can never fail at business if you keep going, because you just keep learning things that benefit you later. I couldn't have paid for the education I've got through just doing stuff. My life.
That's the life education.
Yes, exactly.
We do pay for it though.
Yeah. And there's some sense. Okay, so now I just want to kind of, as we're going to wrap up a little bit today, I want to talk about what it is that you are offering to people. So especially if anyone's listening who is struggling with autoimmune conditions, or issues that are taking them away from their family, especially parents, or trying to help their family and their kids. How can they find you? Well, let's first tell me kind of what all you're doing, and then we'll talk about how we can find you.
So the best way to probably approach this is, I have an online workshop that I offer, which is free, and I would encourage people to go through that first to see my approach and my views, and learn a little more about my program. And then I offer a 12-week program, which is in a small group, and it's mostly online based, but then it has very personal parts to it too, like one-on-one sessions and weekly calls with the group. And yeah, it's very much, it's called the 360 body recovery, because we focus on a 360 approach, and it's been very potent and successful. So I'm glad to share it with people. And it's very simple, but it's not easy. So it's just very important to have the recipe, and to have someone who can guide you, and who you can come to when you're self-sabotaging, or when you have questions or fallbacks, or, healing is not a linear progress. So
not in any way, no matter what you're healing from, right?
And whenever you come back and you're questioning and doubting, it's just really good to have someone that you can talk to and who will keep you on track. So that's what I offer. And I offer free 1-hour consultations too, to get people clarity and see if we might be a good match. And then we take it from there. That's basically how I operate. I do have a website, theconsciousgut.com. And I also offer
and we'll put a link. I'll try and put, at least when we share this on social media, I'll put a link for your website and stuff.
Thank you. Great. And I also offer a free Facebook group where people can find us. And I do Facebook Lives weekly, sometimes twice a week. Except last week when I was sick, I didn't have a voice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard to be in wellness sometimes when you're not your best, right?
Yeah. It's called Holistic Autoimmune Solutions and Gut Health Tribe. So they can find me there or on my website or, yeah.
And I just want to add that Alexandra's content that she's been doing in her Facebook group, at least because I follow that and stuff, and she's put so much value in there. She really does. She loves giving people information, and it's just, if you latch onto something, to her groups, you're just going to keep learning, but you're right about kind of vetting your client base, because one thing that we're establishing as coaches is that you have a skill set, and what you're giving people, like you say, it's not just easy, but it's a great roadmap. It's highly effective, and you've driven it yourself. Mm-hmm. So you're a testimony behind it, and the people that you've worked with. And so you're not out there just begging people to take you on. You are an incredible resource for people who need you, and they're at their wits' end for a lot of things. You provide high value and benefit to their life and their families. And yes, you need to make sure that who you're working with is ready and willing to do it. Because, I had an awesome counselor, and I'll reference this just repeatedly in the different things I do, but she said, never work harder than your clients. Mm-hmm. And that was the first time I'd ever heard that. And I was like, that makes all the sense. That makes all the sense. We want to help everybody. I mean, we're empathetic, and people who are suffering, we just want to give, but you cannot carry people. And if they're not ready to stand up, you can lead them though. And so for the people that want to be led by you and walk with you and understand that you've been there, those are your people. And you've absolutely nailed that as a coach. So for coaches who are listening to this, that is your approach. And for individuals who are listening to this is why you invest. This is why you invest in, and our coaches honestly are helping people through so many things that where they don't have answers, much like Alexandra, at least helping also give them the tools to seek out multiple areas, where they're putting together allopathic and naturopathic medicine, and they've got this partner to walk through the process. A coach is so good at helping you walk through the how-to processes, because like you said, the information's out there. So even if you go to the best practitioner for something, they may give you all the information, but they're not necessarily going to be there to teach you how to read labels and make a plan for your family and how this certain type of stress is impacting the inflammation in your body, right? That's where the coach is, and just the empathy to say, hey, I get it. Like, I remember it was so hard to get out of bed and take my kid to school. And it was so disheartening for me when they had a school concert, and I was afraid I wouldn't be able to stick through the whole thing or even go, period. That's gut-wrenching. And that's the side of health and wellness, whether it be mental health, whether it be physical health, that a lot of people are just, so many people suffer with it individually, but they don't know how to share it as a group, and they feel guilty. So you're providing such a beautiful resource where it's so needed, Alexandra. And you've taken painful, hard things in your own life, and you're fighting your healing process through that. And you've built amazing purpose, and I'm just so stinking proud of you. And I can't wait. I'm sharing this with the coaches first. This is going into our elite group first for all the coaches, and then we'll open it up to the public. So
Great. May I just add another one thing on there?
Absolutely.
It's just really terrible to see how many people come to me who have been to the doctors, where the doctors just say, you have anxiety, you don't have anything, your blood work is fine, all your tests
diagnostics are
you don't have anything, go get a job or something. And it's just terrible to see, because these people have real symptoms, real pains, real frustrations, and the medical community can just not really help. So there's a very big need for us out there, and I'm just encouraging anyone who watches this, if you feel called to this kind of work at all, there are people out there who will need your compassion and your heart and your knowledge just to get better, because
they don't have it.
Yeah, there's so many sick people, there's so much to do. So let's get on it.
Yes. Well, Alexandra, I am so just blessed to have you as a graduate and to still have you in our community, because you are amazing. And you guys, you can find her at, what did you say, theconsciousgut.com?
That's true.
Theconsciousgut.com.
And
And
then it has a link to my online workshop on there too. So
perfect.
yeah.
And I'll leave on our Instagram and our Facebook and everything, I'll leave some direction and links to her various pages and etc. So thank you everybody for watching this. Students, if you're thinking about your businesses, hopefully this is getting your wheels turning as to what your special direction is. Potential students, hopefully this is empowering you to seek out to create the purpose from your own experiences and with your own passions. And for individuals who have felt lost, like not a lot of people are helping them, specifically today, parents, those with autoimmune conditions, and the parents that are really struggling with things that they're not getting answers for. Alexandra is your girl. So thank you so much for joining us today, you guys. Have a great one, and we'll see you soon.
See you soon.